Yeah.
Sorry. Have it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
That's 15 seconds on my watch.
Okay, I'm going live.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome everyone to the September 24th, 2020 meeting of the PACS Commission in Costa Mesa. My name is Jim Erickson, and as the chair, I will be calling this meeting to order now. Item number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd all please stand, place your right hand over your heart and look at the flag and repeat with me. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
of the
United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, everybody. Item number 3 is roll call.
Commissioner Ashendorf,
Present.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Here.
Commissioner DeSico,
Here.
Commissioner Frager,
Present.
Commissioner Fay is absent. Vice Chair McNabb,
Present.
Chair Erickson.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Fantastic. Item number 4, the approval of the minutes from May 28th. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the question.
Okay, I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Ashendorf.
Ashendorf.
Okay, and all the votes will need to be taken by voice roll call vote. Commissioner Frager,
Aye.
Commissioner Ashendorf,
Aye.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Aye.
Commissioner DeSico,
Aye.
Vice Chair McNabb,
Aye.
Chair Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 5 before us is public comments.
If any members of the public would like to speak, we have one person. Johnny Shularef, I will allow you to speak. If you unmute yourself, you will have 3 minutes.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Johnny Shularef, and I am the founder of Element Skateboards, the Heart Supply, and I'm an active skateboarding participant. And I'm speaking to you tonight with hopes to understand why the Costa Mesa Skate Park is still closed. Never have I seen so much deflection when communicating to the city officials, police officers, park rangers, and city employees to understand why this skate park is still closed to this day, even after all other activities were reopened on July 2nd. Skateboarding is a sport that actually requires social distancing. And most importantly, skateboarding embraces cultural diversity, sees no color, inspires equality, builds self-esteem and awareness during a time when our world needs it the very most. Myself and many others have observed police officers, park rangers, city employees aggressively regulating and apprehending children. In some cases using profanity, drawing batons, and treating minors and skateboarders like dangerous criminals. This is completely unacceptable, hypocritical, and clear discrimination. Stripping away skateboarding from children during these unprecedented times contributes a greater anxiety, depression, obesity, drug addiction, and other huge epidemics that the youth face today. We are aware of the hopes to expand the Costa Mesa Skate Park, and this is certainly not the way to gain our trust and support. So many skate parks throughout California have reopened in addition to the world at large. Please reopen the Costa Mesa Skate Park. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments tonight. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak?
Mr. Chair, no, there are no other public participants.
All right then. Seeing that, I will close public comments. We move on to item number 6, which is commissioner comments. We'll go in alphabetical order by last name. So the roll will be Ms. Ashendorf, followed by Ms. Frager. I'm sorry, followed by Mr. DeSico. I get my alphabets messed up. Ms. Frager, Ms. McNabb, Mr. Rutherford, and then I'll wrap it up at the end. So,
Thank you, Chair.
yeah.
First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Minter. It's nice to finally meet you, Zoom to Zoom. I'd like to thank the city manager, the mayor, city council members, and all the staff for working very hard to ensure that Costa Mesa has been a leader in our county to provide safety and health during the pandemic. I'd also like to acknowledge our senior center staff, Mariana Pena and Angel Bear Franco, for their bi-weekly phone calls to all of our senior members, which has been a real big benefit for them to check in on well visit calls. I have been attending the weekly Zoom meetings through the senior roundtable, and I like to let everyone know that the resounding feeling is, when are we going to open? And we know that that is a high-risk population, but you have to know our seniors are anxious to get back together. I'd also like to thank the city for designating the senior center as a cooling off center. When we had those excessive high heat temperatures during the summer, it was open. I want to encourage the city to make sure that there is a policy in place, so whenever this happens, we can call to action our senior center for those without air conditioning. Another question that has come up with the seniors is, will voting be available at the senior center as it has been in the past? 2 other comments. Flu season is soon to be upon us. I did get my flu shot yesterday, and so I encourage all of you and the seniors out there to please get your flu shots for your health and safety. And lastly, as the liaison to the school district, I just wanted to let the commissioners know that they have not had any meetings that required my attendance since January, and they are canceled through October, but I'm on their watch, so I will keep an eye out for what goes on with the school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ashendorf. Let's move on to Mr. DeSico.
I also want to welcome Mr. Minter. It's nice to put a face to the emails that we've been sending. So thank you for stepping into a challenging role at a challenging time. That takes a certain type of person. So I look forward to seeing the plans and hopefully able to support the plans we have for our city. I just wanted to use my time just to get maybe some questions out and maybe get a little more understanding about how our city is making these decisions when we have multiple residents from multiple areas, the seniors wondering when the senior center is going to open, the skateboarders wondering when the skate park's going to open, the youth sports wondering when their facilities are going to open. I guess I just haven't seen a clear way that that's being communicated to the community. Both how those decisions are made and what role the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission has in these decisions. I would like to frankly see guidelines set out with how we're going to determine things should be reopened. Are we going to be using Orange County numbers? Are we going to be using specifically Costa Mesa numbers? What are the numbers we're going to go by? Obviously, it needs to be based on governor recommendation as well. We don't want to be deviating from that, I don't believe. But I just haven't seen anything written out to the public. And so a lot of people are wondering when. I feel like at least if we had a structure of saying when it hits this or when this happens, then this will happen, I think that would help the public. Even if it's not open, at least they would know the criteria we're using. And then I would also believe if it's related to park arts and community services, I would like to believe we would have a role in that too. And I don't know that we've had much of a role since we haven't been meeting. So those are my questions. I'm not sure who answers that, if that's you, Mr. Minter, if that is city council, or maybe discussions have to get made as to how we will make those decisions. But I have had a lot of people come up to me. I'm a pretty active participant, especially in youth sports, in soccer and baseball and football, and and just general people asking about the parks, wondering why the heck we weren't opening up the parks, back in May, April, June. So I just want to see maybe a little more transparency from our city of how we're making those decisions. And I hope to be able to support that. And if you guys need help as a city putting up posters or putting up signage or educating people, let us know. Here at the PACS Commission, we're doers and we're willing to help with whatever needs to be done. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Frager, you're up.
Yes, hello everyone. It's good to be here. I, third in line, would like to welcome Mr. Minter. It's good to have you with us, and I'm excited to kind of get to know you more and your vision for everything. As we know, this has been a devastating time for the arts industry, and I just wanted to report a little bit on how some of our local nonprofits have been resilient and pivoted during this time. Segerstrom Center for the Arts has renamed its School of Dance and Music for Children with Disabilities to Studio D Art School for All Abilities to reflect the diversity of the community they serve. And they will be offering virtual classes this fall for students ages 4 to 22. Pacific Symphony held their Arts Express summer program in June and July, and they rebranded it AXP at Home, where students participated in community building activities, interactive arts workshops, watch parties, and Q&As with professional artists. South Coast Repertory Theater Conservatory is offering virtual acting classes for kids and adults. Participants can explore acting skills for both the stage and the camera, as well as playwriting and improvisation. You can head to their website to learn more about all of those opportunities. Pacific Chorale will begin their Pacific Chorale Academy program in a virtual setting this fall, and they are excited to welcome students from outside of just the Newport Mesa Unified School District for the first time. It's for students grades 2 through 6, and no singing experience is necessary. And this is an award-winning and free program that began right here in Costa Mesa. Excited to follow along with them with that. The Arts and Learning Conservatory has all kinds of wonderful programming going on this fall, both virtually and in person. There's something for every type of artist, from drumming to voiceover. They're gearing up for their auditions for A Charlie Brown Christmas on October 3rd. And lastly, Commissioner Ashendorf, City Council Member Mar, and I are taking over Arlington Drive on Love Costa Mesa Day this next Saturday, October 3rd. There will be crosswalk art and Bark Park mural art happening, and we're excited to work with some local artists as well as some students from Costa Mesa High School on these projects. And I think that's all for me.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair McNabb.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to be back together again. It seems like quite a long pause. And in the midst of everything that's been going on, I do want to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Minter and also to say thank you to our entire staff who has been working so hard to provide as many services as possible to our community in this very difficult time. And I do want to alert people to one upcoming event this Saturday. The United States Census is about to complete. There are only about 6 days left to fill out your census form, and this is a critical count that we get a lot of federal dollars from, and so we need to make sure everyone is counted in our city. And so to that end, the City of Costa Mesa is partnering with the Community Action Partnership of Orange County and the Office of Assemblywoman Petrie Norris to do a census drive-through and mask giveaway this Saturday from noon to 2 at the Save Our Youth Center at 40 2045 Meyer Place, Building E, right in Costa Mesa. So I highly recommend you can go and make sure your census is filled out and pick up a free mask and make sure that you're counted so that our city will get the federal dollars that it is deserving. And you know, there are certain pockets of our neighborhoods that do need to be counted, and children are harder to count than adults. So, you know, we definitely want to make sure that we are stepping up to the challenge of making sure that all of our citizens are represented in that count. I would also like to commend Mayor Foley, Mayor Pro Tem Stevens on the Restore Costa Mesa group that they had put together during this crisis that I have also been participating in. At first, it was weekly meetings to incorporate city staff and the business community to try to brainstorm on ways to bring our businesses back and be able to thrive in this very challenging environment. And it has brought together many coalitions and different segments of the community, not just businesses, but also social services and community services. And it's been a model, really, I think, for the county. It's been exceptionally well done, and people have really appreciated all the information that is provided. So to Mr. DeSico's questions, I think that a fair number of those questions can be addressed in the coding system that has been put out from the state. We are currently in the red tier. We were originally in the highest purple tier. We've been moved down to the red tier. And if everything continues to be continued to tread down, which it is currently, next Tuesday, we will be eligible likely to be in the orange tier, which will allow more things to open up and expansion of services. So that will be a really important milestone for our city. And to speak to the man who has the questions about the skate parks, that is a state regulated issue. And our assistant city manager, Susan Price, has been working very hard to try to clarify on why the skate park has not been able to be open. And she's asked on multiple occasions and has been declined. So just to let people know that the city has been trying its best to address that issue. And that is an issue that it is actually out of our control. So thank you very much. I'm sure that's my time, and appreciate it. Next.
All right. Yes, we're on now to Mr. Rutherford.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. Ditto, huge welcome to Director Minter. It's really, I just want to acknowledge what a challenging time this is for us, for all our families, for families everywhere. And so I couldn't be more appreciative and grateful for the hard work that all of city staff and city employees continue to do. I watched the homelessness study session this week, and I think for anyone who watched that, it's really evident that your work is producing meaningful results. And I do want to send a heartfelt thank you to the entire team, to the Mayor Foley, to the council for that work. So thank you. And then Director Minter, I do also appreciate you working with the youth sports leagues, and in particular youth baseball. I know it's a really challenging time, especially for the city department directors, to have to relay information that you may not have control over. We really have to follow what's coming down from the state, as I think Commissioner McNabb outlined for us really well. And so to the extent that you've been relaying out information and working collaboratively with the leagues to get the return to play plans together for youth sports, I know families, the baseball families, were really grateful to have their kids back on the fields. So thank you for that. And then lastly, this is a huge thing. Commissioner McNabb already touched on this, but please take the census this year. It's so critical for a city, for us all to take the census. If we can all in this call remind 10 of our friends to take the census, that's a difference right there. That's something we can all do. And then, as my background alluded to, please vote this year. Make your voice heard, get out and vote, take the census. Those are two things that we can all do to make our voices heard this year. So thank you all. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, fantastic. And thank you, everybody. I'll wrap up. I have slides. I don't know if they'll make it on, but if not, oh, they will. Okay, great. I'll start off too. I mean, welcome to the party, Mr. Minter. Let's try and have some fun with all this. I said in May that I was going to walk all the parks. I think walking it's something almost everybody can do. It's a natural activity for us humans, and I want to encourage people in any way possible to get out into the parks. So I walked 26 out of the 31 parks. Some of the parks require a dog or a skateboard, or they're just too small. So I got 26 done, and I did a little map of each of them. This is just one example. Charted a path around each park with the distance, and then put some fun facts about each one on a slide. And ultimately, I just love for something like this to be available to residents where they could walk up to the entrance to the park, scan a QR code, and maybe just know how much space they're going to cover when they're exploring their park. And it can promote fitness, it's a socially distant activity, etc. So, hopefully this serves as some kind of inspiration. And it's pretty cheap. It's cheap for the user, and the paths are already there for the city. So anyways, next slide, please. Yeah, if we're looking for other socially distant activities, this is a great one. I presented it first in 2018. I still believe it's a nice multi-generational activity. Younger folks, older folks, doesn't matter who you are, how big or small you are, you can walk around a park and throw a Frisbee. And it's done in other cities in our county. It's a fairly cheap thing to implement. And so I'll keep encouraging the city to look at things like this as we move forward. So last and final slide, please. As I walk the parks, I noticed amphitheaters. So we're the city of the arts. We should somehow make it easier for small groups like a string quartet at OCC, or a band in a high school, or a small dance production to take place in these little amphitheaters. So that's Balearic Park, the top two photos. And then the bottom two is Vista Park, which is just gorgeous and has kind of a natural stage. There's also something like this at Winkle, but I couldn't fit it on the slide. And once again, small things that could be community oriented, put on for cheap, and it's just a great way to get people out in the parks. So just some food for thought from my side, and let's proceed. So if there isn't anything else, I'd like to move on to the consent calendar, item number 7.
An consent calendar item is donation of a Banshee memorial plaque at Winkle Park. I'm not sure if staff is doing a presentation on this or not. Mr. Ryan, are you here to do that presentation?
This was a consent item. We didn't have a presentation prepared other than the packet, the staff report.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I'll lead off. I've reviewed it. I think it's a lovely gesture, and unless there's any vigorous discussion, I'd like to move to approve. So I'll make a motion.
And yes, I'll second. This is Liz McNabb. Second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion, show of hands or anything on this item? Okay. All right. Seeing none, then we'll call for the question.
Commissioner Ashendorf?
Yes.
Commissioner Rutherford?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
Commissioner Frager?
Yes.
Vice Chair McNabb?
Aye.
Chair Erickson?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 8, old business. There is no old business on the agenda. So let's move to item number 9, new business.
New business, item A is Merrimack Way Active Transportation Improvement Project. Presentation by Ms. Rosales, Transportation Manager.
Actually, I'll be presenting this item.
Okay.
Let me pull up my screen here. Can everyone see the screen?
No.
No? Let's see. Bear with me here.
There we go.
It's coming up now.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate that. Good evening, Chair Erickson, commissioners. The next item before you is the request to approve the tree removal of trees as part of the Merrimack Way Active Transportation Improvement Project. A little background, initially staff conducted an extensive public outreach campaign as part of this project, which included community meetings with meetings with the community, bikeway and walkability committee presentations, and meetings with Orange Coast College. The project will construct a number of improvements, including a multi-use path, cycle tracks, green bicycle zone striping, mid-block pedestrian crossing along Merrimack Way in between Harbor Boulevard and Fairview Road. The project also includes new pavement, curb and gutter, median realignment, low water use landscape, and ADA improvements. The project has been advertised for construction. Public services staff has secured Caltrans Active Transportation Plan funding for construction, and construction of the project is anticipated to begin in early 2021. This is just kind of a small rendering of the pedestrian crossing and some of the landscape improvements. The project requires that 20 trees be removed. Staff has sought to preserve as many healthy trees as possible while allowing for the roadway enhancements. The trees on Merrimack Way that will be removed are comprised of a mix of Canary Island pines, blue gum eucalyptus, and ornamental pears. Again, we've sought to preserve as many healthy trees as possible while allowing for the roadway enhancements. However, the construction of the multi-use path and the realignment of the center median will require the removal of the 20 trees. Here are depictions of some of the 20 pine trees that will need, or I'm sorry, the 16 pine trees or 14 pine trees. These are closest to Harbor Boulevard in the median. And the next slide shows some of the ornamental pears that are again close to Harbor Boulevard on the north side parkway. Included in the landscape design is the installation of 21 trees that will be planted in the raised medians and city-owned easements. The newly planted trees and landscaping and street design will enhance the aesthetic appearance of the street, create a more user-friendly atmosphere with an effort to attract bicyclists and pedestrians while slowing the speed of vehicular traffic. The proposed plant palette for trees includes Western redbud, Brisbane box, and London plane trees. Additionally, the city proposes to install the rest of the required mitigation trees at a 3-to-1 ratio, which is part of the mitigation funding for the project. The city arborist will coordinate the planting of the remaining mitigation trees. I've included a few slides of the plant palette. All is low water use. There's some nice color that's included in there. In conclusion, staff has evaluated various designs options for the active transportation improvements and made efforts to protect as many of the healthy trees as viable to accomplish the goals of the project. The proposed project was selected as the most effective option. The reference trees meet the criteria for a Category 3 discretionary removal, as the removals relate to the development of the Merrimack Way Active Transportation Improvements Project. Staff respectfully requested the Commission's approval of the request to remove the trees as Category 3. That concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the tree removal. Transportation Manager Rosales is available to answer any questions regarding the overall project or construction timeline.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan, for the presentation. We appreciate it very much. I was speaking for myself, was part of that process on the bike walk committee many years ago, and helped facilitate the test case, if you will, where we actually tested this arrangement on Merrimack for I think 3 weeks. It worked really well. So I appreciate all the effort that the city has put in over many years now to execute this project, and just want to thank you for that. And it's odd that at the same time I was helping in this light with Merrimack, I was also dropping my kids off at the OCC preschool week in and week out. And so I got a flavor for how that street works now. And I think what we're planning will definitely enhance safety and usability for so many different types of people. So thanks for your hard work. At this time, are there any questions from the commission? If you just raise your hand, or put your hand up like. Okay. Yes, I see one from Mr. DeSico.
Yeah, I just have one question on that plan. It looked like on the pictures we're preserving 2 lanes each direction on Merrimack, but I remember seeing something about just 1 lane each way about a year ago. Could you clarify, is it going to continue 2 lanes each direction or just 1 lane?
Yeah, hi, commissioners. This is Jennifer Rosales. It will be 1 lane in each direction, not 2 lanes in each direction. The traffic volumes are low, and we've tested it with the 1 lane in each direction. Works great, and the operation still works great with 1 lane in each direction. We use that extra space for cycle tracks, so we have a large bike lane with a buffer and delineators. So it creates a protected space for bicyclists on both sides of Merrimack Way.
Okay, because I'm guessing that's similar to how Arlington was done, which is great for the bikes, but then does make kind of a more confined space for the cars. That Arlington space just north of the fairgrounds, the speed limit is less, but I'm not sure what the speed limit is there on Merrimack, but was it considered, what was the consideration as far as changing it from 2 lanes to 1 lane?
Yeah, so historically there had been a lot of complaints about speeding on Merrimack Way, and there's also a lot of bicycle usage. So that's kind of where it started. We also worked with OCC as one of the stakeholders, did public meetings with the adjacent neighborhoods as well. And then when we did the Go Human demonstration project, that actually lasted an entire month. And we reviewed the traffic during that time frame. We took traffic counts both before and after the demonstration project and looked at the speeds. During the demonstration project, we found that the speeds went down during the demonstration project. So that was a good sign of the speed reduction, which was one of the goals of the project. And then just the sheer traffic volumes themselves are very low. And even looking at projected traffic volumes, they're also very low. A 2-lane street can definitely handle those types of traffic volumes, both existing and in the future.
Okay, and then I did have a question on the healthy trees. So if those trees that are currently there are deemed healthy, where do they go? Are we incorporating them into that landscape? Or are we moving them somewhere else, or are we totally discarding them?
So the trees that are remaining will remain in place. Most of those trees are on the south side parkway of the project. So those will remain in place, and we'll work around those.
So the tree removal request is for which trees?
So it'd be the 14 Canary Island pine trees in the center median.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were an additional 6 pear trees on the north side parkway.
Right. So that was my question in relation to those trees. If they're deemed healthy, what are we doing with those trees?
Those trees would be removed. Those
Okay.
are the trees in question for removal.
And discarded.
Correct.
Okay.
Due to the change in construction of the street.
Yeah, I was just thinking about replanting. Is that feasible or not for some of those? That's all.
Due to the size and the maturity of the trees, it's not really feasible. It's cost prohibitive on the one hand, and the viability of moving a tree that large and disrupting the root zone as much as you need to disrupt to remove the concrete and the asphalt that's surrounding it, the likelihood of success is minimal in my opinion. Would not recommend that.
Okay.
That's all my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else with a raise? Yes, Vice Chair McNabb.
Well, thank you for that presentation. This is very interesting and, such a long time in coming. I know that staff and the community stakeholders have worked really hard to put this together. And I also participated in the Go Human event and drove by many times, dropping my daughter off at OCC for certain events. So I think that it does have the intended effect. And so that is why I will be happy to support this. I would like to make a motion to take staff recommendation on this project and be happy to support it.
I'll second that.
Excuse me, we need to make sure we ask for public comment on this item.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
I'll ask that. Is there any public comment? Okay. It seems there's no public comment. Shall we make those motions again? Vice Chair McNabb?
Certainly, I move to approve.
And then I'm not sure who spoke first, but do we have a second?
Want it, Cash, or I got it? Okay, I'll second.
Okay. All righty. Ms. Green, are we ready for the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's call for it.
Commissioner Frager,
Yes.
Commissioner Ashendorf,
Yes.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico,
Yes.
Vice Chair McNabb,
Yes.
Chair Erickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Now let's move on to item number 10 on the agenda, the Parks and Community Services Director's Update.
Thank you very much. I would like to start out by saying thank you for the welcomes from all of our commissioners. And as I mentioned kind of in our preamble, this is not the way I would like to meet, all of our commissioners. The services you provide as commissioners to the department, to the city are much appreciated. We, appreciate also your patience and bearing with us while we're going through this COVID period. A couple of you mentioned, it's a difficult time to start. I also look at it, as in a positive light that I get to be associated with the recovery. I wasn't here for the closure, so hopefully I can be, the good guy that helps bring programs back. I would like to thank the ones that pointed out the commitment that staff were putting forward, because, a lot of the stuff that is happening now in our department all came prior to my arrival. I want to thank, all of our supervisors, coordinators, Sylvia, for everything they did in preparing the department, for my arrival in early July. It really was great to meet everybody and to be welcomed the way that I was. And it's just been such a great experience for me these first 2.5 months here with the department. So I knew a little bit about Costa Mesa, but I've gotten a chance to learn a whole lot more. I'm not sure, Chairperson, how many minutes I get if I'm limited to 3, because I got pages and pages of stuff to share.
I'll defer to Ms. Green.
What's that?
I'm going to defer to Ms. Green.
Okay. But I'll try to go through this because there's really a lot of stuff. And as I went through, program by program, our staff, we may not have a lot of the programs, like at Balearic or, some of the youth sports or the Rocks program that we, you are used to having this time of year, but there's still a ton going on. So let me cut to the chase and kind of get to it, starting with the senior center. I know Commissioner talked about it. Just to date, they've provided over 57,000 meals to 15,000 different seniors in our city. We've delivered or distributed 4,100 grocery boxes. They've delivered meals to 75 self-quarantine seniors on a weekly basis, which is an amazing service. It was also mentioned the wellness calls that are being made, over 16,000 wellness calls, checking on our seniors to make sure they're doing well. There's been 2,000 plus trips for seniors to medical appointments or shopping, whatever their needs are. Another awesome service provided. And staff continue to print an amazing brochure or monthly newsletter that gets sent to the more than 3,000 members of our senior programs. I also wanted to mention, and it was previously mentioned by Commissioner Ashendorf, the Cooling Center. Thank you to Kevin and his team for really scrambling, that week and getting everything set up. We are continuing to refine the Cooling Center policy. There's a couple of things that we're waiting on. We're trying to confirm backup Cooling Center locations, or should we need additional? But everything for the Cooling Center at the Costa Mesa Senior Center is just about ready to go. If the commissioners would like, once it's all final and approved, we'd be happy to share it with you. There's just a couple more T's to cross and I's to dot on that plan. And then we're working on the emergency services plan as well. So thank you to those staff that did the Cooling Center. It was open on Saturday and Sunday of Labor Day weekend from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sadly to report, we had 16 people only come through, but it was 6 on Saturday and 10 on Sunday. But luckily the service was there for those 16 folks. So thank you to staff for their commitment in giving up their Saturday and Sunday on a Labor Day weekend for that. I'd also like to thank Kevin and his team at the Aquatic Center. Back on July 27th, we were able to reopen for lap swimming. We have 3 sessions on a daily basis, 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, 11:45 to 12:45 at lunch, and then 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We are serving quite a few. Pretty much every spot is filled through the reservation process. Mornings, we're looking to extend by an extra hour to allow a few more people to swim each day. And we're looking to add Saturdays in the next week or two. So we'd have a few more spots. We do have a very small pool. If you compare our pool to some of the other ones in surrounding cities or even the schools. So yeah, we're limited to 4 people at a time, 1 per lane. And as we move from purple to red and hopefully red to orange, I don't know that our pool can really handle much more capacity just based on the limited size, but we're going to keep exploring and see what else we can do to get more people in the pool. We have a total of 773 visits by 138 different people. So we do have a pretty solid core of swimmers, but they are getting their laps in, which is a great service to provide. Moving on to Fairview Park. We've been able to reopen most, if not all, of the trails that were closed back when COVID hit. The only trails that are currently still closed aren't closed for COVID reasons. They're closed more for the habitat restoration type reasons or the vernal pool reasons. The Orange County Model Engineers, we're continuing to work with them. They're currently on hiatus right now. We have allowed them to run their trains on occasion just to keep them maintained. Otherwise they freeze up and bad things happen. But they're not currently serving the public. They love to come back out, but they're also protective of their seniors, their members, and want to keep the public safe. But we're in constant communication with them. Thank you to Cynthia for that. We're working with the Harbor Storing Society on trying to get their plan refined and brought to the Fairview Steering Committee in October. And we had some great news. The Sea and Sage Audubon Society has been doing their bird walks. During the months of July and August, they found over 68 species of birds, which is an amazing number. They've really, the numbers have really grown during this whole COVID time, with the lack of the traffic or when the park was kind of down for a while. We saw an uptick in species of birds that were coming through Fairview Park, which is awesome. Next to animal care services, from March through August, they continued their work. We had over 197 impounded animals, 47 animals that were returned to their owners, which is a great thing, and also 119 animals that were transferred to adoption centers. Some of these numbers, they kind of blend between different months. I was struggling with the math for a while, but we have had over 150 animals adopted during that 6-month period. And then we're continuing to do animal licenses, which we're trying to really push to make sure people are licensing their animals. Next, we have the Downtown Rec Center. There hasn't been a lot going on inside. That is one of the things that we're going to be pushing as we look at that move from red to orange. It's limited numbers. We're not talking about full programs, and we really have to identify sport by sport, activity by activity, and really be aware of what the limitations are as recommended by the state and county. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Just for those of you that didn't know, city staff did an amazing job putting together a virtual community center. Currently up on the virtual community center is the Hispanic Heritage Month. There's a variety of activities that can be found on the community center to engage, young and old, and recognizing this is Hispanic Heritage Month. So check that out if you haven't had a chance. There's some senior yoga classes there, and then activities for kids, adults, including exercise, cooking, drawing, self-care, wellness, all sorts of stuff. So if you haven't checked out the virtual community center, please do. It was mentioned earlier about youth sports organizations. We do have active groups out at our facilities. We have one soccer organization and one pony baseball organization that are actually out there playing right now. We're working with a bunch of other groups to kind of get caught up. We knew that there was going to be a push, but we're just trying to make sure all the wrinkles get ironed out before we finally approve. But yeah, there's been a lot of feedback from the community. Thank you so much, but it's still been a little slow to go. It was about 2 weeks ago that we gave the approval to release. But there's a few that are like this close to getting out there and being able to take the field again. And just for the commission's benefit, this is not normal business. This is not for games. This is not for tournaments. This is getting back to a training and conditioning type format, very similar to what the schools are doing. So our high schools that are allowing their teams to start training again in an outdoor environment, but it's not supposed to be return to play. It's just, trying to get out there and start the process again. Each of them has a plan they have to have in place. That's what our staff are meeting with every single group to make sure that they understand what's expected for that. So that's been a very big hurdle for us to get over and continue moving forward. A couple of capital project updates. The Norma Herzog Community Center is just about done. We did a walkthrough of the facility on Tuesday, and they're really, just finishing up. If you haven't been by there in a while, the construction fence is all down around the Herzog Center, and they're, fine tuning and sweeping and cleaning. And the trailers, the construction trailers that were there will be moved out this week. So possibly by tomorrow, they should all be gone, which is very exciting to see that center come to life. We are in the process of planning some sort of a quasi-virtual ribbon cutting. I don't know if we're going to have the luxury of having invitations go out to our commissioners, so I apologize in advance if you're not invited. It's not that we don't want you, we're just trying to send the proper message that, social distancing and not having public gatherings, but it will be some sort of virtual thing that the community can engage in, hopefully. At the same time that we're finishing that project, we're going to be doing the groundbreaking, thanks to Raja and his public services team, for the Lions Park Playground. That contract was approved on September 15th, and we're looking to do a groundbreaking in the middle of October. And we estimate, I believe, 4 to 6 months for that project to get complete. And then we should have pretty much everything at Lions Park open to the public. So we're very excited about that. Perez Park. I don't know if anybody knows where Perez Park is, but also on the 15th, I got to do my first city council item, which was the naming of the park at University in Santa Ana. So that was a very nice thing to get done in honor of Rachel Perez Hamilton. It was great to learn a little bit about her and doing the presentation for that. If you haven't been over to that area, it's a very small park, but they pack a lot of fun stuff in there. I really do hope that by the time we do the ribbon cutting for that park, which should be mid to late November, that hopefully kids can play on it, that we don't have to open it and then caution tape it up. So we'll see how that goes. Another change, that took place during COVID is the recreation guide that we're used to printing and mailing out to all of our residents. We didn't do that this year. We didn't have a lot of classes that we wanted to promote. So for the fall issue, we did design it, and it's posted online only. And the reason we did it electronically only was one, there's a kind of a funding challenge that we're trying to deal with. But two is it gave us a little bit more flexibility. So we posted one early September. We're going to revise it because there have been changes to programs and program opportunities in the last month. And then we're going to have a new issue or a new version that's released the first week of October. So if you haven't seen a guide come in your mailbox, it's because we didn't send one. But we are doing the online version now, and then hopefully we'll get back to the printed version once we're able to do, the full complement of classes. I mentioned some of the other updates, or they were mentioned earlier in our meeting. Love Costa Mesa Day. We have a few events. There was the restoration, or we are planning a restoration at Fairview Park with the Fairview Park Alliance. Cynthia is working on that now. That's not available on the website just yet, but hopefully they'll iron out the details and make sure that gets added. And then as mentioned, it's the mural is getting a fresh coat of paint on the BART Park, and then the crosswalks on Arlington at Junipero and Newport. So those are two crosswalk projects for that. Some of the other upcoming events, staff are working on the Scarecrow Fest. It's going to be more of a virtual type Scarecrow Fest this year, trying to again cut down on the public gatherings. So we should have stuff posted to the website soon. So I hope that everybody can join in the Scarecrow Fest, you know, from a virtual standpoint, where you can design your own scarecrow, display it in your yard, and then submit a picture for judging. So we're still carrying forward with that tradition. I'm hoping that with people at home and, you know, all these DIYers out there that have a little more free time and no tournaments to go to, maybe we'll get more scarecrows this year than we have in years past, but we'll see how that goes. I mentioned the ribbon cutting at Norma Herzog, the Lions Park Playground, and then Perez Park. Facilities, I know this came up earlier and I'm happy to try to address it. The skate park is one of our really hot button issues. Personally, I'd love to open it. I love skate parks. I'm not a skater. I'm a laughable skater. My kids don't skate, but as a recreator, it's one of the most exciting elements in our parks to be able to just go out and watch. And it's been a bummer to have it be such a negative to the city. It's not about discrimination. It's not about the population. It's simply about the ability to control or modify or moderate the social distancing aspect of that park. And right now it's closed. We have challenges with people hopping the fence and, you know, really creating a dangerous situation there. We don't like that. We don't like the police has to do enforcement, but we're trying to follow the state's guidelines, which were seconded by the county, because it is an area that while you're skateboarding in the park, yes, you're socially distanced, but it's when you're gathering at the top of a ramp waiting your turn, or it's the clusters of people once you get inside that really causes most of the concern. So we're getting really close. I was on a meeting with Orange County directors, Parks and Rec directors today. Everyone's having the same challenges. Some have chosen, you know, different avenues with which to address the problems, whether they have fencing around their parks or not. Some, you know, one city just opened a park brand new and they didn't want to open it and then close it right away. So, you know, each city has slightly different, you know, criteria or guidelines that they're working on, but we're really trying to stick to it. We've sent multiple communications to both the county and state and are told repeatedly, no, you know, that it's just not a safe activity now. But trust me, we're putting pressure on, cities are gathering, you know, I know the mayor's been interested or involved, and, you know, we're pushing. We're not sitting on our hands waiting to get permission. We're advocating. We're trying to come up with ways that there's not a lot in the skate park. The argument that they don't share equipment is a strong one, but it really is just about the numbers, the sheer numbers of people that might congregate in that skate park at any one time. So we're continuing to try to find things we can do to make it safer, but just putting up signage doesn't seem like it's enough from the city's perspective. We're also looking at teen programs. Can we get our teen centers open at a reduced capacity? The downtown rec center, can we get programs going in the gym again? Maybe the pickleball program, you know, in a space the size of the gym. You know, we're looking at 10% capacity. There's a lot of opportunities that we are like, we're ready to go. I mean, if you know anything about the staff in this department, they like having programs. You know, sitting around just waiting for the green light from the county or state has been frustrating for staff. You know, I've been taking tours of a lot of our different parks and facilities. And I know Belair Community Center is a hopping place when there's programming going on. But the couple times I've been there, it's kind of a ghost town, and that's not what a recreational facility is supposed to be like. So there's a lot of very pending things that, I mean, they're close. We're just not quite there yet. If we are able to shift from red to orange, that's going to be fantastic. It'll open up a whole nother tier of programs. The question was raised earlier about who decides what programs are reopened. There's guidelines in place, but those guidelines are pretty generic. We have to read them, we have to interpret them, we have to say, how does that affect our facility? Sometimes the language on the state's website isn't specific to our city. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth that we have to do. We do communicate with the state and the county, like I mentioned about skate parks, trying to get clarification. And we really do work together well as cities, neighboring cities, so that we're all on the same page and we can try to roll things out in a consistent fashion. But there is a lot of finger pointing, like their city's doing this and their city's doing that. We hear about that, we verify it, and we have a great network of directors that I've been introduced to. So I'm very happy that we have that resource in place. And finally, just a few comments. As the new director, I hope that each of you got a chance to read the city manager's memo to commissioners. They really are trying to make proper use of city resources and use discretion when it comes to scheduling meetings. The fourth Thursday of the month is a tricky one when it comes to the Novembers and Decembers, but we really want to focus on having critical business. And this applies to all the other 4 committees that are part of this department, not just to the PACS committee or commission, I'm sorry. But COVID has presented devastating fiscal challenges to the city, and we're trying to find ways to be resourceful, take advantage of city staff time and not overtime. So there are things like that. Part-time employees, a lot of our part-time employees were furloughed back in March and haven't returned to work yet. And that's the people that, if we are going to start programs again, we have to basically rehire them. In addition, our full-time employees are all furloughed by 5 hours of pay period. And that may not seem like much, when you say 5 hours, but 2.5 hours a week, it's one less Friday, every 2 weeks. It really starts to add up when it comes to the amount of work that we as staff can crank out. So I do ask for your patience there. Moving forward, I want our department to continue to work with our community groups, the local nonprofit partners that we have, and then our committee members and commission members on establishing what's being called the new normal. The new normal is going to be different. Things are going to be different in our industry, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a great opportunity to make changes and clean up things, from years past, or kind of break some of those traditions. So I hope that you're patient, but we're also going to be relying on our committees and commission to help point us in that direction for the new normal. So I do ask for your help with that. The last 6 months, it's really forced everyone, especially in management, to ask questions that were never asked before, or make adjustments that were previously considered impossible. So as we continue to make strides during our recovery, we're on the verge of dropping to the orange tier. Greater capacity of our facilities, enhanced opportunity for the regrowth of our economy. Those are all good things, but each thing is going to take one step at a time. I really hope that our parks and recreation programs can be a part of the community's healing process. People want to get back out to the parks, and they want to be able to congregate and have gatherings. And in the parks and rec business, we encourage that. That's our lifeblood. Prior to March, we were trying to do big events, trying to do big activities, the concerts in the parks and then the movies in the parks and all of those different activities to bring people to parks. And then we're the ones that have to tell people, no, stay home. So it's a really uncomfortable position for people like us to be in. I will be requesting meetings with each of you. I'd like to have at least like a half-hour Zoom with each commissioner individually. I was going to do it before the meeting, but I thought at least I could get all of you in the same Zoom call, kind of launch it. But be aware, Sylvia will be reaching out and trying to find a half hour that works with both of our schedules, so I can find out individually what you're all, what your interests might be or what your thoughts are. And it's about programs, but it's also about the commission format or anything that you see that maybe you've brought up in the past that I'm unaware of. By all means, let me know. And if it's something that I'm hearing is a repeat between different commission members, maybe we can put it on the agenda, and bring it back to a future meeting. And finally, because I know we're getting right there, I'm looking at the time. Coming to a new city, not knowing any of the employees, I couldn't feel more welcome than I did by all the staff that we have here. So I really do appreciate it. It's been amazing getting to know people like Cynthia. She and I have spent a lot of time at Fairview Park talking about all the wonderful issues, all the wonderful things. I got a chance to walk through the wetlands. I saw some coyotes. We saw some herons. It's just been great kind of, seeing that facility up close. Meeting our recreation supervisors has been great. We have a really dynamic staff. We have some vacancies still yet to fill, so we're growing our team. I'm glad I get to be a part of that. I really do appreciate the staff's help. I appreciate the commissioners, the committee members for your continued commitment to the city. As I continue to edify myself to all things Costa Mesa, I look forward to the recovery of programs, to the reopening of facilities, and hopefully the provision of the services that our community demands. So that's my spiel. I think that was a little bit more than 3 months or 3 minutes. And you will find that, as I really do love what I do, I can talk for more than 3 minutes on just about anything that's related to Parks and Rec. And sometimes, you want to put up your hand and stop me or ask a question, by all means. But with that, if anybody has any questions on my report, please feel free to ask.
All right, if anyone has I see a thumbs up. If there's any hands raised, please do so now. I just had one question for Director Minter. Pickleball is a big thing, and you mentioned it a bit. There's actually a pickleball court, a bit of an ad hoc pickleball court at Tanager Park, and I wondered what we could do to actually activate it. It's the remnants of a basketball court, and somebody actually taped a pickleball court down onto it. So it could be something for staff to consider. It's there, it just needs a net. That's all I had, except I do want to take a moment to acknowledge Mr. Ken Snow. He's the gentleman who was the subject of consent item that we had today. And that item was approved. I understand he made it to the meeting a little bit after we spoke on it. So I just wanted to let him know that we've approved his request for a bench memorial plaque at Winkle. So thank you for bringing that to the commission, Mr. Snow. Anyone else? Staff, Ms. Green? Yes, Commissioner Nasico.
I also wanted to second that, Commissioner Erickson. I was contacted about that pickleball court on Tanager, and it just seems that was such a wildly popular activity indoors that it was overflowing. And now that we're so restricted indoors, it just makes sense for that space there at Tanager Park to make that an official pickleball court that can be done outside. Trying to look at opportunities to do some of these things that were inside, trying to find ways we can do them outside so we can get, people outside doing more things in our parks safely, obviously, but, and we'll probably need signage to remind people about everything, about physical distancing and about masks. But yeah, some of these indoor activities, if there's a way to make them outdoors, let's do it. And that Tanager Park's a perfect example. And I did get contacted about that. I know someone came to us in a meeting a couple months ago about that. And then I also got contacted from a different person this month asking that same thing. Can the city paint some lines and throw up a net there? And then I just had one more comment on the reopening. Like you mentioned, it obviously looks like we're trending from red to orange fairly quickly. The only thing limiting that is really the time frame, not the actual numbers. The numbers are good. And I just want to make sure that we are looking proactively and we're already having those discussions of what that will look like with these groups, with the staff, and already planning that. The governor had approved to have the youth sports on August 3rd. And here we are, September 24th, with the majority of those youth sports not able to have the permits yet. And I do understand there's a tremendous amount of work to get that started, to look at their plans, to make sure that matches with the governor's criteria, but all the more reason to start that. And so I would just implore you, rather than reactively waiting until we're in orange to have those discussions and those plans, to proactively start those discussions now, to set that criteria now, to let the groups know, and also the programs you're planning on activating, let them know when it does go to this is what we need to do, and this is what we need to see from those groups. So they're well aware. And as soon as it does go to orange, we're ready for that, rather than waiting till it goes to orange and then deciding, okay, how do we do this now? So I would just implore you, let's try to be proactive rather than reactive.
All right. Hey, I have to jump in because it looks like we actually have a raised hand. I'm sorry, I can't find him on the screen, but Mr. Snow is here. Oh, there he is now. Brenda, can we give him a moment if he'd like to say anything?
Mr. Chair, absolutely.
Okay.
So Mr. Snow, I've allowed you to speak, and if you can unmute yourself, you may speak.
Hi, and thank you very much for approving the request of actually my father when we were walking around the park one day. It was always a special place of theirs, and I know what an Egyptian goose looks like now, but I'm sorry, my apologies that I came in a little bit late here doctoring a horse, living up here in Sisters, Oregon. But I'm delighted to actually see you and meet you folks in person, if you will, here. Certainly Costa Mesa is my adopted hometown, Costa Mesa High School, 1968. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. I'm looking forward to assisting and getting that, financially to assist. And with a little bit of luck, I'll come on down and visit a few friends and have a chance to actually enjoy that bench. But on behalf of my parents, both mom and dad, greatly appreciate that. And they really enjoyed their stay in Costa Mesa. And like I said, it's still my adopted hometown. So thank you very much for the time. I do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate your contribution and good memories in Costa Mesa. That's always awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any other raised, excuse me, any other raised hands. So if it meets with your pleasure, I will adjourn the meeting. Oh, we've got one. Ms. McNabb.
Thank you. I would just pose one comment to the commission as a whole, if I may, as far as adjusting to the changing needs of the staff time. I think that we could take a internal survey of the commission to see if we could meet at an earlier hour, if it's acceptable, if we find that the public is able to do it perhaps at 5, so that the staff doesn't have to stay so late, or modifying the actual commission meeting time to be more collaborative with taking into account staffing levels. So that is something I think that would be important to research.
Yeah, that's a great point, Commissioner. And if Ms. Green or Mr. Minter, if we could conduct a little survey via email or something offline, perhaps we could all agree on that. Would that be good?
My only comment would be to confirm, Brenda, we would need to adjourn this meeting to whatever the new time was in October, correct?
No, you would not have to do that at this time. You could just adjourn the meeting to a date to be time and date to be determined later.
Okay.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can have Sylvia send out a quick survey. Remember, when she does, send you that request, do not reply all, just reply directly to her, and we'll tally the votes and then send a notification out to everyone, including Brenda.
Okay. Great. I see thumbs up. So let's adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We'll adjourn the meeting tonight at 10 after 7. Take care, everybody.
Nice to see you all.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Jim. Thank you all.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Hi, guys. Nice to see y'all.